Today we're going to be learning about a website called FindARecord. You get to it by you can see up here in my URL, if you just type in FindARecord.com, it will bring you right to their website. This is a great site for a lot of different purposes, especially with research assistance, which means if I need to find any of my ancestors who are missing sources on them, or who may be missing birth, death places, or dates, missing parents, or any cleanup issues that need to happen with my ancestors, or even LDS temple work that may be available for me to do, this website helps me find that. And the way they do that is they're partnering with FamilySearch.org, which means when I go to sign in with them, I'll actually sign in with my LDS username and password. So when I click right here, sign in, it's going to bring up a box and it's going to have me sign in with that LDS username and password, and then it's going to actually dive into my tree out of FamilySearch.org, and it's going to pull out my ancestors, their information, and pour it into their system to where it then allows me to see different things that I can start working on. And so I'm going to start by just clicking right here with sign in, and you can see I've already previously signed in with Family Search, so it's not going to make me sign in again. But right here, it puts me in the very center right here. And you actually need to go find an ancestor who was born in the late 1700s or the early 1800s in order to start diving down into their descendants to find people who possibly are ready for temple work to be done on them. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go back up here and click on FamilySearch.org. This is their main page. I'm going to go hover over the family tree, and then I will click on tree. It's going to bring me to the last view that I was viewing my tree in, which for me this is the landscape view. The best view to go out and find descendancy research work is to get into your fan chart. So I'm going to come over here where it says landscape, and I'm going to click on that little drop down arrow and click on fan chart. And it will bring me to this view right here. So here's an easier view of being able to see ancestors who were born in that early 1800, late 1700 era of time. And I'm going to just randomly, I'm actually going to put Willard Corliss in the very center of this fan chart. And I do that by hovering over in the bottom corner of his rectangle here, and it makes that fan darker. When I click on that, it actually then puts him right in the center of here. So I'm randomly picking an ancestor in here I've never even worked on, and so I'm just going to pick Rachel here, and I will copy her ID number. Whoops, I ended up copying way too much out of there. Let me try that again. Let's copy her ID number, and now I'm going to actually go back to the FindARecord website. From here, at the very top on the left, it says change the start person. So I'm going to paste that ID number in there, and I'll say go. Now this is where I get to have fun telling the computer what I want to have done. So on the left here too, it says who do you want to find? Well, I don't want to find ancestors if I'm going to go try to do temple work. I want to find descendants. So I'm going to scroll down here, and you can actually see I have the ability to click on ancestors and descendants, cousins, or everyone. But my main focus right now is show me the descendants to this person. Now down here, I also have the ability to say, okay, I don't want you to go find me any ancestors who are missing sources or having any of their missing birth dates and places. I don't want to see any relationship problems. Any of these, I can't even remember what this one is. Oh, children who were born before they were married or born too close. So any type of those problems, and any cleanup work, any standardizing. I don't want to see any of that today. Today we're focusing on ordinances. I can also click on this ordinances, and I can tell it which ordinances I want it to go find. So I love that part of it too. So I'm actually going to just show you how I can actually uncheck some of these to where if you're a teenager and you can only do the baptisms and confirmations, you can come in here and just check those two and then close that back up, and it's going to start diving through my tree and finding people who are ready for baptisms. I'm also going to tell it how many generations I want it to go look at. So here, when I click on this drop down arrow, I'm just going to go for 6 generations. You can see that it actually takes you clear to, oh goodness, that's way too many generations to go fly through. 22 generations. It's too many. So try to stick to 4 to 6 generations out. Otherwise, you may be sitting there for a really long time. But just by doing that right there, you can see it's already pulling me in people who are possibly ready for temple work. One other little trick to this is, I believe it's in this area right here, under relationships, I can also click on married with no children. So that way, if a couple is married and their children aren't inside the family tree, then I may have the ability to go in and add them into the tree and do their temple work for them. So I also mark that too. I'm now ready to go start looking at these individual ancestors to see if they're ready for temple work. And so when I start to do this, the easiest way to make it happen is just click on their ID number and it will open up their personal detail page inside of Family Tree. Now at this point, I'm going to pull up a Word document that I've created to show you the steps that you need to take to make sure this person is not a duplicate in the system, to clean up their information, to add sources to them, basically to prep them to get to the temple. And so I always say, you know, we spend years prepping ourselves to get baptized. It's not going to hurt us to put 30 minutes to an hour into an individual who is our ancestor in prepping them for the temple. You'll feel a lot closer to them once you start going to the temple for your ancestors, when you've put time into them. So the very first thing I do is I look for possible duplicates, because I want the machine to go out there and find what I call dirty duplicates. They're ones that usually haven't been standardized, they have missing information, and I want the computer to go find another duplicate out there if it exists. The next thing I do is I standardize. Now I've created different videos on these already, on the possible duplicates and the standardizing, so if you need to refresh your memory on all that, you can go back and watch those other videos. We then go attach sources that will provide evidence that that person really was a person, they lived, this is their family, their children, this really, you know, is the closest I could come with when they were born, when they died. So those sources are giving you enough evidence to prove their life and their vital information. And according to the sources that I find, I'll go back and I'll start editing and correcting the vital information. And that vital information is their name, their birth, their christening, their death, their burial, and any family information I find too. And then after I get that done, I will go back and look for possible duplicates again, because now my information is now clean, and now I want to go find a clean duplicate. I choose to go out and look for those duplicates twice, at the beginning and towards the end, just so I'm very thorough in my research work. And then if there are no duplicates and they still have a green temple, I'm ready to go reserve that work. So those are the steps we take. So I'm going to minimize this and go back to this David Terrell. And the reason I want you to see this is because when I first look at his information, I can go click on ordinances and I see, great, he needs all of his work done. I go back to the details, and remember, the first thing I want to go do is look for a duplicate. When I scroll down over here on the right, it says possible duplicates. And when I click on that, there is a duplicate out there. My first thing I do is I just go click on that duplicate's name, and it's going to bring up his summary card, and that lets me know whether his temple work has been done or not, as to whether I want to just jump right out of him and go to a different ancestor or not. Now this ancestor, none of his work's been done here because there's not enough information on him to do that work. So this is one that I really would go merge, and I would still work through the steps of trying to prep him through this process of getting him ready for the temple. Let me come back here and show you another lady that we pulled up. This is the second one down on the list that they found in FindARecord for me. And when I click on her, all her ordinances are available, but when I go click on possible duplicates, she has a duplicate sitting in here, and when I click on that duplicate, their work has been done. So this is why it's so important to start this off with checking for possible duplicates, so you're not wasting your time. You can get moving to the people who really need their work done. The last one that I had pulled up that FindARecord found for me, well, I shouldn't say the last, he was just the fourth one down. But anyways, when I clicked on possible duplicates for him, he didn't have any. So that's exciting. Now I have somebody that I can actually work with, because as you look over here on his ordinances, it looks like he needs them done. So I will go forth and I will go through all of those different steps looking for duplicates. I'll standardize this information. I'll attach sources to him. I'll change any of the vital information that I need to that sits right here. and then I'll look for duplicates again, and if there still are no duplicates, I will go reserve that work. I hope this helped. Thank you so much for joining me.